Okay, so I got a message slash comment, asking me how I glue up my panels without using Cawls to keep them flat. Look, man, and my answer was, decades of experience. I've been showing you how to do that in all my videos without telling you that's what I'm showing you. Because it boils down to, you got to be a wood whisperer, man. I'm the wood whisperer. That's what I am. I've been doing this a long time. And it's the fundamentals of milling lumber that a lot of guys who call themselves furniture makers don't seem to understand. The stuff I've seen online with the way people deal with boards that are warped and whatnot blows my mind. Now, the way I do things is the way I've taught myself how to do them to achieve the results that I get. If you rely on, let's say you buy your lumber from a supplier and you pay them to mill your lumber for you, and then after you're done, you pick up the lumber and you go to start gluing up your boards, and you start having waviness and twists and everything else, that's because your lumber supplier did not properly, in my opinion, properly. This is what I think, okay? I'm not going to get in an argument with anybody over it, but I know that my results work, which is this. You have to face join each board properly first, okay? I'm looking for a board around here to kind of explain it to you. Here's a miniature version, right? Here's your board and you're running through the planer. Imagine this, a much bigger piece. Your board can have a hump to it, can have a twist to it, crown, and so you want to run it through your joiner until one side's perfectly flat, right? Then you run it on the bandsaw. Well, first then you're going to join another edge, right? This is the crucial point about getting boards to glue up and be flat without the need for Cawls. Your face join surface to your edge has to be exactly perfectly 90 degrees. So face join your board, run it through the joiner on end, you got 90 degrees. Now take this to the bandsaw, run that through the bandsaw, this piece is going to fall off, and now you have a roughly milled piece that you're going to let sit for at least 24 hours. The key to this is you have to know what your final finished size is going to be, and you've got to buy a material much larger than that size to mill all the movement out of those boards and have them all be milled to the proper thickness that you need to then begin making parts. So you're going to let that sit overnight, and all of them overnight, and you're going to come back the next day and you're going to sight these boards. Normally, the side that you milled on the bandsaw where you resawed it, it's rough sawn now, right? It's vertical lines from the bandsaw. Normally you're going to want to take that piece and sight it, and you might see that it's curved in that manner, which is better for the joiner, because you're going to want to reface it again. Usually I do the side I already face joined. So I take the side that's already flat and smooth, and I put pencil lines on it, and I run it through the joiner again. All right, this is the second day. And you're going to see where those lines remain, and you'll see that overnight that board twisted or cupped or, crowned on you. And you're going to make that flat again. And at that point, typically, the same day, I will then run it through the planer. And now I've got two sides that are perfectly parallel to one another, and it's a dead flat board. Now, if you have a board where you're taking a lot of material out over time, sometimes it takes several days or a week to mill your lumber. That's what I went through here. It's 4 weeks of milling lumber for all the parts for this project. So it's a lot of extra time. You got to think about what's your time worth. I don't think of my time milling the lumber to the same rate necessarily as when I'm putting the parts together. But that's a process. Because when it comes to gluing the panels up, the most important thing is that you've milled all the movement out of your pieces, and then it's perfectly flat. Both surfaces are parallel to one another, and the two edges are exactly, precisely 90 degrees. It has to be that. So as I'm running them through the joiner, I'm taking my square out, and I'm testing all along, and I do like 3 tests along the board, because sometimes as you're doing that through, you're pushing it through with your hands, and there could be a little of this by mistake. You're only human. And I'll keep running that through till it's perfectly dead, exactly 90 degrees. And that's what I do. So I have a clamping rack system. I've shown you all of this already in previous videos, just in the last several weeks. There's a lot of shorts I put out there. I made a clamping rack system. There are 2 large Cawls that I could put on there and clamp to those boards to keep them from buckling. But the truth is, I almost never need them. I almost never use them. I almost never use the Cawls to hold the panels flat, because at that point it becomes about clamping pressure. Now, you're going to get squeezed out when you put your clamps on, and that's what you want. But unless you have to pull the boards together, like maybe your straight line, there's a test. When I make this straight, I lay each board along each other on both sides, all different ways, to make sure that all these boards are perfectly straight to one another before I glue them up as well. But sometimes as you're gluing one end, the gap opens up more here, and you got to put a little more pressure on this side to close that gap up. After that, what I do is as the panel is on my clamping rack system, I put straight edges at the joints, or across the whole board, and then I adjust my clamps. So if you've got a little bit of this going on, then you've got to put your clamps so they're up this way, and it'll straighten that out more. So it's your clamping pressure and where you've got the tension from the clamp itself, you can adjust this movement with the clamps. So it's a constant thing where I put the clamp on, I come over here and I check it, I look at this, and then I take my clamp and I rotate the clamp around as I need to make sure that these boards are flat. Do the other side and I'm done. But the reason you don't see me putting a whole bunch of clamps on it, I only need a clamp on each end, is because I've milled all the lumber perfect. That is the key. You have to learn, if you learn this process that I'm describing to you, which takes a lot of time. It takes time. And I happen to have an Inca 570 joiner planer, which has a 10 1/4 inch width capacity for the joiner, which also limits you on the planer, because you only have 10 1/4 inches. I have a 3 horsepower 18-inch Laguna bandsaw, right? So I can resaw all my own lumber. I buy my lumber in the rough because I know I'm going to mill it myself. There's no point in buying lumber at like a store where it's already S4S, because there's a plus minus of whatever. It could be a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, or 30/2 of an inch, or so many 64ths of an inch. So when you mill it yourself and you do a run of the boards for that particular part that you're making, when you're done, all those boards are going to be precisely the same thickness. This is the key. So again, you have to mill the movement out of the board first by face joining. You have to make sure all your angles are exactly precisely 90 degrees, and then you have to figure out your clamping pressure. You got to make sure that you have a system that holds your panels so they're even. How do you double check that? Well, there's a real simple technique. It's called winding sticks, right? So I can put my panel up on my racks, and then I get 2 sticks that are longer than the material, and I lay them on, and they hang on out beyond the board that I'm gluing, just as a test. And then I get down here and I look and I make sure that it's even, and I don't have this going on. If that's going on, then I got a problem. I have to solve that before I even start the glue up. Now, what you just saw me do here was I wet this down. Okay, another thing I want to mention to you guys is early on when you start doing furniture, a lot of you guys are buying what everybody else uses, and you'll see random orbit sanders, the round ones. I got away from those, I don't know, probably 20 years ago, because the swirling is too much. It ruins the wood. It's a real bitch to get those swirls out after that. And I moved over to palm sanders. Okay, this happens to be a Festool palm sander. I have all the Festool random orbit sanders, but this finish one here just leaves a great finish, and it doesn't leave the same type of swirl marks. I also have a Makita cordless that's much larger, and it's amazing. And it's aggressive enough to still flatten things out if you need to. The thing is that what's going on is that people aren't milling the lumber correct. They don't understand the clamping. They don't understand creating a clamping system to lay your boards on so it's perfectly flat. They don't understand that as you're gluing, you have to check. Like this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boards right here to make up this panel. So that's what I did. You know, I put this on there and I was moving those boards around during the clamping process to make sure that they're pretty even. On this, it wasn't perfect. So I kind of had to sand that a little bit, but it was soft wood, so I knew I could do that, other than the cherry here in this. This is the back side of this door. What I just did was I just sanded this out and knocked down all my edges, all my corners, and I am now wetting it so that it'll raise. That was the front side. This is the back side. So what I'm doing now is I'm wetting this to raise the grain, and then I'll come in with sandpaper with a block and by hand. That'll be my final sand, and then I'll apply some finish to this. I'm doing this because the client's going to come by in a couple days. He's going to pick up this door, and I believe his son is going to hang it himself. And it'd be nice for him to have something because it's been so long. It's taken a lot longer for me to get this project done. So, which is another trick that a lot of people don't do or forget to do when it comes to finish. Sand it out pretty well, wet it down, raise that grain, sand it again. And when you do that, when you go to apply your finish, you won't have, at least not as drastic, you won't have that issue where the first coat of finish raises the grain and then you have to sand it smooth again. That first coat will go on pretty flat. You won't have as big of an issue. It's just my technique. It's what I found works for me. I've been doing this for a very long time. There's probably a lot of you watching this. I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. So I'm just saying, I know what works. You know, I charge quite a bit of money for what I do, and you can't charge that kind of coin and then do a crappy job, right? Again, the way I do things tends to add time to it, but if you don't want problems down the road, there's a dent in this piece here, so I'm attempting to swell that out. This is the back side of this door. It's a closet door. I'm not that concerned. Normally I'm real like crazy about all the details. I get that criticism a lot, that I put too much time into things, but you know, that's how I get my next job. There's people out there that have spent top dollar on many things in the past and then they're not happy with the results. I don't have that. Very rare. It's very rare that I have a client that's not happy with something I did for them. So again, it's like building a house. It's like a relationship. It's like anything else. The foundational things that you do in the very beginning are going to dictate your results down the road. That's how it works. So, and practice makes perfect, right? You got to keep doing it. I hope this helps. Again, mill the movement out of the wood first. Make sure everything's perfectly 90 degrees. Line those boards up to one another every which way. Make sure all your lines are straight, because if they're not, you got to run them on the joiner again, because the edges of those boards have to be perfectly straight. So when you butt them, you don't see light between them. Because if you see light between them, when you go to glue them up, now you have to apply extra clamping pressure in those areas. You already screwed up. If you see that, you're screwing up. That's on you. So you got to make sure everything's dead straight, perfectly flat, 90 degrees. When I lay my boards up to glue up a panel and I put them together, even just slapping them together real quick for the quick eyeball, everything's hitting perfect, man, the whole length. That's what you have to accomplish. Learn how to do that first. You learn how to do that, you'll glue up, and you'll learn you won't have a big problem with your glue ups, and you won't need the Cawls. The Cawls are there because you screwed up beforehand. That's my opinion. And again, as I'm gluing up my panels, yes, the way you glue your clamps, the way your clamps are working on your glue up, where the clamps are touching the edges of those panels, if they're too high here and the clamp's on the top, you're going to make this happen on your panel. If you lower those down and you still keep the clamp up there, odds are it's a lot flatter. If you can rotate your clamp, which is how I always start, with the clamp out here, and I'm putting pressure here, you know, I'll bring it into here, but the clamp's out here, not on the top or on the bottom, that's where I start. And then I adjust that clamp from rotating it here to underneath to adjust this or this to this. You understand? I use Type-On 2 glue. That's my favorite because it sets up within 20 minutes. Now, I wouldn't say it's set up enough to, do hardcore work with it, but often I'll glue something and 20 minutes later, I'm milling it. After 20 minutes, it's usually pretty safe to pull your clamps off. I'll leave them on for the day, but by the end of the night, I take my clamps off and I stack my parts. When I stack my parts, because I am nervous about that, I'll find a place, like that back table there, that's not exactly perfectly flat. So I'll put the board on with some pieces of wood under it and I'll tap the corners. And if it moves a little, I'll put a shim underneath that till that board sits flat. Then I'll stack my boards on top of that. So the weight of those boards actually keep everything flat until I'm ready to start making parts with the panels that I just glued together. I hope this helps. This has been a message from the Wood Whisperer. Just came up with that. I think I'm gonna have to make a T-shirt. Mike Z Design, the Wood Whisperer. The Wood Whisperer. It's so corny. I'm so corny. I'm so pro. You guys have a good day. Be kind to one another. I'll catch you in the next one.